warm welcome to you all. Found myself at the dining room table over the last few months in the warm with lots of tea and bourbon biscuits, Netflix and YouTube, and then I thought, well, I'll pick up the old project of making an underground station. So that's what I cracked on with, and I finished the station. It's now implemented underneath the layout and it fits all right. It is a bit tight. I might have to just manipulate a little bit, but it works and it's in, so that's good. So I've completed that. I've made a Baker Street station. Now the reason why I made Baker Street was it sits on the Westminster and City line and also the Metropolitan, so two of my favourite sort of destinations really. A, it hits Paddington, and B, it hits Rayners Lane, Harrow, that kind of way. So I've done that. I've added it in, and I've added some flashing effects, like arcing if you call it, where the train in real life you get the sparks over the rails. So I've added that sort of effect to the rails as it goes down as well. So I think that's a great touch. A lot of people have asked me, how do I do it? Is it hard to do? So I thought this was a good time to show how I add these sparks underneath the train as it goes over the line. Now I haven't added the fourth rail and third rail and all that kind of thing. I won't be doing that just yet because I need to add a shuttle module between the two tracks, and there will be a little bit of track preparation for that to insert the little circuit boards however I wire them in. So let's take a look at some of the work I've been up to over the last few months. Of course, building a new station set me many challenges that I did not foresee, and that is the one that the point control box underneath that side layout was completely in the way, so I needed to rip it out, remove all the wiring, and then rewire it back by moving it over. This took me ages to do, but all in all, it's given me the space for the station. So this then leads me nicely onto building the station itself. Taking some plastic card and some Slater's brickwork sheets that are embossed, I then created the station retaining walls and the doors, the steps, all that kind of thing. Using some of the spare sheeting, I've made the platform sort of reinforcement underneath, and all the behind the wall I've had to reinforce the wall sections to make sure that it keeps the structure that I need. Now taking a little bench, I had to measure the actual space in between each wall, and by looking at photographs and lots of calculations and lots of measuring, it was a case of working out what I needed and how I needed it. And at this point I'm just adding the small wall where the bench sits, as you can see. All the benches are from Metcalf and Metcalf kits, and some of them come in a double bench, and I've literally cut them in half to give me the extra benches that I needed. This given me more scope to do more building and the added detail that I needed. And from here it was just measuring, looking at photographs, counting bricks, and then repetition of building each one of these little sections as I just carried on. All the white tiled arches are made from paper, and I've used some calculations to work out the brick dimensions and just printed them out and then cut them to shape. These were then added to an arch former, which is the back of the brickwork. Then it's a case of reinforcing the underneath of the station and then adding the top section, which is the tiles or the paving slabs. Then I've just added the whole thing together to sort of give an ideal look, and then it's just carrying on with construction. As to colour the brickwork, I used some black washes and sort of rubbed them in, rubbed them out, sort of dry brushing effect, and really worked this through the brickwork to get the staining I required. My little trick of using the two-tone pack of rustic material, which you get the dark brown and the light brown, was then added, and in small places was dabbed on and off to get that desired brickwork effect. And then it was just a weathering powder just on the top, just to dull it down all over the brickwork and the doors. Then it was then adding the white tiling into the roof section, these little arch portals, and again these were just glued in using Bostik glue. Being made of paper, it was great because when I add the lights behind it, the light will then shine through onto the station as if it was the same effect from Baker Street Station itself. So this is when the build actually speeds up in itself. It's a case of joining the actual edge of the brickwork to the actual platform and getting rid of any little gaps, making sure it's sealed correctly in all the right ways. Then it's adding benches and then dressing the rest of the station with its furniture, signs, posters, that kind of thing. So this was the first test fit. As you can see, I've just added the station in place. It's very tight, but it's in there where it needs to be. Got to tidy up a few little wires and paint the edge of the track section there black to cover up any light, but it's doing what it needs to. All the lights are on, and all in all, looks really good. I'm really proud of the way that sits in there, so that's really good. So here I'm just painting the viewpoint as you look into the layout. So I think let's cover that up with some black paint, let the eye of that white edge, that'd be really cool. And then add some arcing effects. Right, to make our little flashing unit, you need a reed switch. This is rated between anything between 1 volt and 12 volts. You need a grain of rice LED. Again, this comes from Christmas tree plants, that kind of thing, outdoor planting. If you buy one and you don't want them, you get the spare little loom of lights. So I've got a few of these now. I always find them trashed or get them in the pound shops. And that runs on a 3-volt battery. I'm only going to run this all to it, so it's only going to run 3 volts, this whole system. Nothing to do with the track, so it's completely separate. You need a magnet to activate the reed switch, and then you need some wire. You can use the thin wire or you can use the thick. I'm going to use this. That is really fine to add the soldering wire to, and I can't actually see it with my eyesight, so I'm going to use this wire, which will be perfectly adequate to use on this really. Right, so I'm going to cut some wire for this, and then we'll feed them through the track and we'll add it all together and we'll show you how it all works. I'm going to do it on this little test piece because it's easier to show you on this than it is on the track itself, because you won't see because it's too dark in there. Right, so let's cut some wire. So I've made a couple of little wires up. I'm going to add these to the reed switch. Again, when you put the solder on them, literally just touch it. Don't do it on too long because these don't like a lot of heat. So literally quickly tin it and drop that on really quickly. Don't hold the soldering iron on these little components, they don't like it. Right, so we're going to put this bit of track over there, that's where it's going to sit. I'm going to feed the LED through the board. I say I'm only doing this on a spare bit of board because you can't see it on the actual layout itself, so this is the only way I can show you it. Put them through, and then the reed switch sits right in the middle of the track. Now I've raised it up so you can see it at the moment, so it sits like that. That will sit nice and tight on the track. I'm going to put it to one side, but not enough to catch the wheels. You can disguise these as an AWS ramp, that kind of thing. If you paint them black, matte black, they'll blend into the track. You could do it that way, in with a rail. I've seen people do that. Personally, I like to do that to get a nice full flash on it, and sometimes it doesn't quite catch that way. But if that's what works for you, it's all trial and error. So we've got this bit. So from this point onwards, I'm going to push that down and bend them round that way, and that makes that nice and flush into there. Now we need to add our LED. I'll bring it that side actually. Again, I'm going to cut an LED off. Just cut from there, and then we need to strip these back and then find out the plus and minus on these little wires. So I strip the wires back. I've got a little bit of copper, I can see that there. I'm going to find out which is the plus and minus on them. So I'm going to use a very small battery, and then I'll bend the leg up that's the leg that I need. So I've got a little test battery here. This one's the negative because it's got black on, and this one is a plus because this is the way I've got the battery. And then we'll just do a quick test. One will work and one won't. If it blows, then I'll just get another little bulb and try it that way. That's what we do. No. So that tells me that's the minus leg, that's the plus. So if I make that the long leg, so I know that's the long leg, that's the plus. If you're wiring up to the plus and minus on the battery, you'll need that to be the plus leg, and that obviously be the minus. So what I'll do is I'm going to just bend that like that so it looks like it's a shorter leg for the purpose of this video. So I've got long leg is the live, as they say, daddy long legs. Right then, so we're going to add our LED in through there. Is underneath there, and what we'll do is going to turn it over that way, and what we do is we touch one of these to there, and then these two go to our plus and minus of the electrics. So I'm going to do that more than I need cable wise, but I've done that purely to show the video. So let's solder them up. Okay, so I've just, this is the minus leg to the reed switch, the plus leg comes out of there and goes to the plus on the power, and that goes to there. I'll join them up, make that a live circuit. There we go. And if we chop that aside like that, there we go. It should, let's get that there. And what happens when the train goes over, you get that sparking effect. Imagine your train. Let's do that on a little wagon. Underneath the wagons you've got a bit of metal, so you can stick the magnet underneath. It will stick quite nicely under there, so you don't have to glue it. It will sit nicely. And then once that goes over, it creates that sparking, and that's how the train gets the spark. And sometimes it picks up, sometimes it doesn't, so it does its own erratical thing. So you get different sparks at different times depending on the speed how you're doing it, and that's it. That's how we make our sparking, our arc effect. So let's have another look at the train going down the track for one final last time. So there we go. You can see the reed switch in the middle, and then you can see the bulb, which is just hiding there. That's the bulb, and you put the wagon over it. You see the sparking as soon as the wagon goes over it, and that's how it works. You can use blue bulbs or a purple bulb or white, or a combination of blue and white, whichever, or blue and purple or white and purple. So you can create all your own different effects. So there we go, that is our station, and that is our little line with our effects of the arcing out, and just hope that was some inspiration to somebody and give somebody some ideas. If anybody's struggling with any of them things, just drop me a little note, and I'll help you where I can. I'll leave the items I buy, I'll leave them in the description, so if you want to see what I used, you can have a little search through eBay or Amazon, that kind of thing. So that's really it. Next project for me, as I say, I've got to do this little station this end and add the shuttle module between here and there, and possibly build a tube train. Now, tube train might be on hold for a little bit, but I might sort of cover that in time. So lots of things that I want to do with the layout itself, so I need to break the layout down eventually and rewire it to be portable, to be moved and relocated. That's what the next plan is. So anyway, all we say is look after yourselves, and whatever you do, keep safe. As we always say, happy modelling, and I'm sure I'll catch you all very soon. Cheerio.